Previously.
Got a 2010 Rolls Royce Ghost. So this door got blasted and all of this was actually bent outwards. I guess he got spun out and then took out the quarter panel. So we ended up cutting out the mangled part of the door skin. And then we borrowed a piece of the door skin that came off of a 2003 Chevy Tahoe. Next, the piece of Chevy door skin was cut to size to fit inside of the Rolls Royce door and got welded into place. Next order of business is to remove the paint from all of the areas that still require some more work. To fine-tune all of these areas, I will be using my spotter tool that works in a way like a welder, so I have to have bare metal in order to make it work. I constantly use my hand to check on the progress to make sure that all of my low areas are getting raised, and if any of the areas get raised too much and turn into little hills, I can always tap them down later on with the hammer. Another way to check the panel for high and low spots is to use something with a straight edge. And in this case, I'm just using a level. And basically, as I drag the level across the flat surface, wherever I see a gap between the level and the surface, I know that there is a low spot there. And if the straight edge gets caught on something as it gets dragged along and then starts pivoting on any point on the panel, then you know that you just hit a high spot and you need to knock it down. After working on this thing for another hour or two, was able to get all of this out really good. Next thing we gotta do is the fender. Also got a little bit of damage down here. It's a little rough, not too bad, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and metal finish all of this real quick before it gets dark. We are starting a phase 2 of the repair where we're actually going to move on to the quarter panel over here. Because yeah, this thing is pretty bad. It's pretty stretched out. All the stretched metal had nowhere to go, so there's a big old dent right here. I tried popping it out, but it's not wanting to come out because there's a lot of I guess energy being stored in these low spots. So once all of this metal will start coming out, I think this big old dent will kind of work its way out. If you look at the leading edge of the quarter panel, it looks really wavy, and in reality it should be a lot straighter than that. So the first order of business before I start working on any of the quarter panel skin, I have to bring the leading edge out as close as possible to its original shape. This line was really sunken in here, so I just worked it out with the hammer and turned out pretty good. I mean, it'll obviously still need some more tweaking, but as I'm pounding on this metal, thing is, once I started bringing this line back out, our large dent in a quarter panel, got about twice as small. So now we're just going to relieve some pressure by working out a lot of these really deep dents with the spotter. It appears that the quarter panel on this Rolls Royce had been previously worked. I don't know if you guys can see, but right about here, you can see there are some scratches. I'm not sure if that transfers over on camera, but right here, as we're preparing a spot for our ground, there's probably a good 3/16 thickness of body filler over this metal here, but that's all right. All that's gonna get worked out.
Now, if we move on to the good side, we have this body line right here. It's a pretty sharp line, it's really noticeable, but if we go onto the damaged side, that body line is totally gone. Can't even tell where it's supposed to be. The only way to tell is if you look at this bracket right here, there's a little ridge, and that's kind of an indicator where that body line should start. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll just measure out the distance from bottom of the quarter panel up to where the line's supposed to be on the good side, and I'll do that in the back and the front, and then I'll mark out those lines, draw a line out, and start raising that body line back up. So as a visual aid, I will place some tape right on the corner where our body line starts. So back here, we are right at 5 1/4 inch, and over here we are at 5 and about 15/16 of an inch.
Here I'm using a slightly different function of my spotter. By using a special attachment, I'm going to weld on a bunch of tabs onto the line that I just drew. And by running a steel rod through all of the tabs, with the use of come-along, I'll be able to pull all of the tabs at once in just one motion. One thing you want to take a note of, it is important to tap down the area around where you're making your pull. The vibration within the metal from the tapping will help the metal relax, and that in turn will help the metal move in the direction that it's being pulled.
And there's the body line.
Man, it's starting to get late. It's the sun's already set. We got the light out, but we are determined to power through this today. So yeah, more work to be done on it. We worked into the night, and I was able to get all of the metal out real good to keep the thickness of the body filler to the minimum. It took quite a few hours to get to this point, but all of this effort is well worth it, because the better job you do on your metal work, the easier it will be to do all of the body filler work. So in the next video, we'll have all of the body filler work done. All of the areas that got fixed will get blocked out to perfection, after which everything will get primered and ready for paint.